Are you an abstainer or an imbiber? Are you curious about the very interesting life of Shirley Temple Black? Then you're in the right place. I'm Sarah. This is Historically Drinking, and this week we're going to make DIY Grenadine. We're going to make a non-alcoholic Shirley Temple cocktail. We're going to make the alcoholic Dirty Shirley, and then we'll discuss 12 very interesting facts about Shirley Temple Black's life. Do you want to support this sort of content, this boozy historically drinking? Then you can do so by simply hitting the subscribe button and then the notification bell afterwards. All right, let's make this cocktail. We're going to start with the grenadine. So here I've got grenadine that I've already made. It's all ready to go. And there are store brands that you can buy that are good. Liquid Alchemist is a good brand, Small Hands is a good brand, but most of the pre-made grenadines that you get in the store are not good. They are full of fake flavors and preservatives. So really your best bet is to make your own, and it's super simple to make your own. All that you need to do is take a jar or some vessel that has a lid that seals, like this one. And then you're gonna add pomegranate juice and sugar in equal amounts. So I have 1/4 cup of sugar, and then I'm going to put in 1/4 cup of pom. And then all I do is put the lid on and shake until the sugar is dissolved. When I'm done, it will look like this. No sugar, just a pretty red liquid to put in your drink. All right, to make the Shirley Temple, you need a highball glass. You want to ice it down like I've done here. You want it to be as cold as it possibly can be. Okay, but I'm going to put fresh ice in the glass for the cocktail. Now, to this ice, I'm going to add a cup or 1.5 ounces of grenadine. This is our homemade grenadine. There we go. And then I'm gonna fill it up with ginger ale. Now, I'm using FeverTree ginger ale, which I really like because it has a lot of carbonation. Another favorite brand is Vernors from Michigan. If you can find it, it's incredible ginger ale. But really, just use whatever you can find at your local store. All right, now I'm gonna give this a stir. Now, when I was doing the research for this episode, I was shocked to read that ginger ale was the original ingredient in this cocktail. I had come up in the bar making it with Sprite and 7-Up. That's what I'd always been taught was in it. And made with Sprite and 7-Up, it's fine, but it's a very sweet drink. Made with ginger ale, having just that little edge that the ginger provides makes it so much better than it is with Sprite and 7-Up. So here we go. Now, of course, we need a garnish with this, so we're going to use cherries. And we are not going to use those brightly colored cherries, bright pink ones. They almost glow in the dark. We're not going to use those. What we're using are Luxardo cherries. So these are sour cherries that have been preserved in syrup with very little in the way of preservatives. They're delicious. Look at how dark they are. All right, there's our garnish. All right, let's see how this tastes. It is so much better with ginger ale than it is with Sprite or 7-Up. That is a refreshing drink. Suitable for any abstainer. But what if you're not an abstainer? What if you want to tie one on? What if you want some booze in your drink? Well, that's when you make a dirty Shirley. And to make a dirty Shirley, all you have to do is add a little vodka to this drink. So I'm going to take this Hanson's organic vodka made in Sonoma here in California, and I'm just going to pour 1.5 ounces of this into my Shirley Temple. And I'll give it a stir. And voila, dirty Shirley. Oh yeah. Fantastic. A college girl's dream, this drink. All right, now that we have our dirty Shirley in front of us, let's get on to the 12 interesting facts about Shirley Temple Black. But first, do you want to support Historically Drinking? Well, you can do so on Patreon. If you subscribe on Patreon, then you get bonuses. You get show notes, you get special interactive videos, you get all kinds of cool stuff if you're a Patreon subscriber. Or if you don't want to commit to that, you can tip. On Venmo, I'm Sarah LM-Mangoni, or if there's any other way that you want to tip, you just let me know and I'll make it work. All right, let's get on to our 12 facts about Shirley Temple Black. So Shirley Temple was born in 1928, right here in Los Angeles. And her parents were solidly middle class. Her mom was so happy to give birth to a baby girl. Now this was during Prohibition, the roaring 20s. And despite not being able to sell or purchase alcohol, the people of the nation, on the whole, were thriving and optimistic. But then, 1 year later, the year that baby Shirley turned 1 year old, the Great Depression hit. And it was during this time, when so many grown-ups couldn't find work, that Shirley got her start in the movies. Let's get to our interesting facts. 1. Shirley Temple started in the movies when she was 3 years old, acting in baby burlesques. These were films where they would have tiny children dressed up in diapers acting like adults. So, for instance, in one of these movies, Shirley Temple played a burlesque dancer, otherwise known as a stripper, who was entertaining army troops. And in this film, she actually kissed an army soldier. So little baby Shirley, in her diaper, was performing like she was a stripper and kissing little baby boys in diapers. It's a very strange situation. Okay, 2. Shortly thereafter, Shirley got a terrible ear infection. It was so bad that she had to go in and have her eardrum pierced to remove the fluid that had built up on it. The very next day, she was on set and worked 12 hours. Her mom tried to call her off, but the producers told her mom that if she didn't show up, they would find somebody else to act in her place. So she showed up. 3. Shirley was the youngest Oscar winner ever at the age of 6. And she is still the youngest person to ever win an Oscar. She won for Outstanding Contribution to Film in 1934. 4. Shirley Temple had the first interracial dance in a movie with Bojangles Robinson. And they were friends from the point that they met doing this movie until Bojangles passed away. They were friends his entire life. Now, this scene that they filmed, they were dancing up and down a flight of stairs, and for part of that dance routine, they were holding hands. In Southern theaters, the MGM cut the part of the film where Shirley and Bill Bojangles were holding hands because they were afraid that Southern audiences would react poorly to this little white girl and this black man holding hands. 5. An MGM producer exposed himself to Shirley when she was 11 years old. What did Shirley do? She laughed. She laughed in the face, or whatever you want to call it, of his exposure, and he sent her out of his office. Shirley reported this to her mom, who just basically told her that's the way things were. Her mom had had pretty much the same experience. Fact 6. Shirley was married at age 17 for the first time. She divorced at age 22 and was pretty much immediately remarried. But this marriage was to Mr. Black, who was a Dole executive. Fact 7. Her parents spent or poorly mismanaged most of her money. She made $3 million during her acting career. By the time she asked for it, when she was 22, there was only $44,000 left. 8. Shirley was an honorary Ghanaian chief. After her career in the movies was over, she became a politician. And one of her roles as a politician was as an ambassador to Ghana. And she was a hit in Ghana. The people loved her so much that they made her an honorary chief. She actually had a longer career in politics than her career in show business. Fact 9. Her daughter Lori was a bass player for the incredibly important punk band, the Melvins. 10. Shirley had breast cancer. And when she did, at that time, cancer was a bad word. It was not something you talked about. It was something to be ashamed of. But Shirley did talk about it. She talked to reporters while she was in the hospital undergoing treatments. And her talking to reporters raised awareness of breast cancer and brought tons of women to their doctor's offices where they were diagnosed with breast cancer and then were able to be treated. So her willingness to speak up saved lives. 11. Shirley's tombstone reads, God's greatest gift returned to God. Which I think is pretty interesting because I think it can be read in two ways. So her family put this on her tombstone. Did they mean that Shirley thought she was God's greatest gift? Or did the family think that she was God's greatest gift? You decide. That tombstone is in Palo Alto in Northern California. Fact 12, Shirley did not like Shirley Temples. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please comment and share. And I'll see you next time. Cheers!